Hi, YouTube. I really want to start off by talking about King David. Um, King David is one of my favorite characters in the Bible. I really love him, and I love him for a number of reasons. Last year was the first time the King David actually became real to me, and that's good because I always looked at Bible characters as being just characters. I believe in the Bible 100%, but never have I experienced it like I did with King David in my life and the trials that God had put me through to see me make it through and come out of them. So I really would like to bring King David to life for you, you know. And I want to start in the book of Psalms because when I first read the book of Psalms, and I've read it probably 20 or 30 times, um, I actually felt like Psalms was just a book, of poems and poetry and songs and all that. I really didn't understand the emotions of David and what he went through and all of that. So, right about now, I want us to talk more about King David. I want us to bring him to life. I want you to feel him and understand him because he was very human. Um, Of course, God loved him so much. And remember, he was chosen as a child to be the king over the Jews and Israel. And so, he really, really um, had a purpose, serious purpose. And God loved him and was pleased, even, and he was the smallest out of all his brothers, yet God saw him as being the most powerful. Um, But going back to the book of Psalms and understanding David is what I want us to do today. So let's start with reading Psalms chapter 1, and I have my Bible over here. But Psalms chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. We'll start simple. Okay, so we'll stop at 3. And I do have the NIV version, so that's what I read from. And if you just the new international version, but if you have the regular Holy Bible or whatever, to me they all say the same, just in different texts. Um, but it says, "Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join in with scoffers, but they delight in doing everything the Lord wants day and night. They think about His law." And when you read this right here, because I know it's kind of hard to understand, what is he talking about? When King David wrote the book of Psalms, the first book of Psalms, that is from chapter 1 through 42, he wrote this when he was actually basically somehow at war with his son. And you can't really understand it unless you're really at war with your children. And a lot of people be at war with their kids in different ways. It could be that the child is on drugs, that child is rebellious. It could be a lot of things, and you end up at war with your kids. And when he wrote this and he started off, writing the book of Psalms, he spoke so highly of um, what he expected, from God. When he stated, "Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked," he was basically saying that he was really going to be blessed. He should be blessed. He should be joyous. He don't do what the wicked do. He don't, you know, he worship God, and he at that moment it was like he was pleading his case to God. "I'm here, Lord, and it's joyous to me." Like he was actually convincing himself that, I follow God and not the wicked. So I know that I should be joyous. I know that this should be a wonderful time for me. And he needed that reassurance. He needed to somehow bring it back to himself to remember, that regardless of what I might be going through or how I might be going through it, you know, God hears me and loves me and knows me. And that to me is very important, because as humans we have to reconvince ourselves. We have to tell ourselves over and over again that, hey, God loves me. You know what? He do love me. I'm gonna be joyous because I don't do what the wicked do. I don't participate in the activities that they do, and all of this. And what brings us back to him being at war with his child and writing this is that that's two different battles. It's like saying, I love my child. I love my child so much, and I'm at war with my child right now, but all I have is Christ. And the pain, that pains run deep inside. That's an unexplainable pain, and he had to let himself know that God hadn't left him yet. God was still there, and that is faith. That when you can't hear or feel or see anything or anyone around you, and there are no signs or none of that, but all you have is this to reconvince yourself, to tell yourself over and over again, he has not left me. He is still here. That's joyous. That's some serious faith, because he hadn't gave up yet. He writing this, true enough, but he hadn't gave up. He's still standing. And there's no one there to reassure him of this but himself. So when he wrote this, oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, all he was saying was that joy is coming my way still. It's not over for me. I do not participate and do the things and follow what the wicked tell me to do. But his son was. His son was looking out to kill him. His son wanted to do away with him. His son wanted to run the kingdom. And King David loved his child regardless of all of that. All of that didn't matter to him. That you may want to kill me, my child, but I love you. I love you still. And I don't want anything to happen to you. And when it goes on, it says, or stand around with sinners, or join in with scoffers. He was pleading his case to God. He was letting God know, hey, God, I don't do none of this. I don't sit around and stand around with sinners and gossip and hang out and party and club and go to strip clubs and all that. He really was honestly saying, I'm innocent here. I love you and I'm innocent here. All I want to do is worship and praise your holy name. And he didn't understand what he was going through or why he was going through it, but he knew that it was something that he had to overcome. But God hadn't left him yet, and that was the reassurance that he was giving himself. Um, and that's why I love him so much. I love him because of this. I love him because he was so human. But you have to understand the life of him and walk in his shoes just for a minute to understand what he means by all of this. Um, In Psalms 2, he said, but they delight in doing everything the Lord wants. Day and night, they think about his law. And that's how he was. He delighted day and night in doing everything that God wanted him to do. All he did was think about the law of God. And that's what he's saying. All I do is think about the law of you. You know, um, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm here. I'm loving you. I'm worshiping you. I'm praising you. And I know that you're not going to leave me. Like, I know that you're here. I just gotta let you know that I am innocent. I am innocent, God. And I know he didn't understand what and why things was happening to him. This was happening to him, why he found himself running from his child that he loved so dearly. I know that he didn't understand that, but I also know that he didn't once try to say, I'm going to go fight my child. No, he went to God with it. He ran. Yes, he ran. He ran to the wilderness. He ran, he ran. But he still loved his son. The love for his son was, it was unconditional. It was a love that a parent should have. And that's what a lot of us have. But can you? The question is, can you still remember and plead your case, to God when you're at war with your children, when you're at war with Department of Family and Children Services, with lies are in the air about you? Can you stand? Can you really say, God, I know you love me and I have worshiped you and praised you. Can you really stand? And that is the question. That's the only question. There is no other question. There isn't anything else. Can you walk a day in King David's shoes? Is it possible? When he gets down to Psalms, because we did stop at 3. So I'm sorry, I kind of get carried away when I get into the ministry of Christ, but to sum it up in a nutshell, is like, can you walk a day in King David's shoes? Those two verses that I read out of Psalms, it actually tells a lot about him. If you can understand where he was coming from, if you can understand the purpose in him writing those, then you can look at it deeply and see what he was saying and what was going on with him and how he was feeling, and that's the only way you can relate. But I broadcast to you guys only because I want you to see what I see. The unconditional love that lives inside the Bible. And most definitely, I want to bring King David to life. We go to church every day, but, and we hear what the pastor have to say, but there are times when you cannot understand what they really meant and what the purpose was, and that's where I am right now. I just really want to tell you and let you know that King David was a person, and I'm quite sure you know, duh, but yeah, he was a person, and his spirit will live on forever and ever. And if you can walk and understand what it is to love someone so much and cherish them so much, but at the same time be at war with them, but you don't want to hurt them, but they see nothing but evil in their eyes and all they want to do is destroy you, then you can understand, especially if it's your own child. Then, and only then, would you really understand how King David really felt and why he did what he did and said what he said. Like I said right here, if you go back and look again, and I'm going to cut this short, but he really was trying to let God know that I have really praised and I have really worshiped you. And I'm feeling alone. I'm not understanding. I don't hang out with sinners and I don't do things. And that's the test. That's what your test is. Do you do it because you love God? Or do you do it because you're expecting an award? Could you survive the test? Could you walk in his shoes? And until next time, YouTube, I'm Keita, and see you guys later.